government fails, the world's off its rails, leaders are whacked, democracy is under attack. It's just our luck. We elected this dumb fuck, doesn't give a shit about us, throw his mother under the bus. Time to get smart, folks, time to get real. Let's cut through the crowd, tell us how you feel. Let's pull back the curtain and open the door. Get some stuff that's not bought and paid for. It's her border to border, coast to coast. Let's cue the talent, let's meet the host. Podcast by George.
Hello, hi, how are you? And welcome on in. Welcome back to another podcast by George. The podcast is getting a lot of views, a lot of action here lately. I would like to take credit for it, but I think a lot of it is because of the state of Iowa and, of course, the Iowa caucuses and the flaming ass disaster that was well documented here on the podcast with the good doctor Stephen W. Schmidt being the latest installment. And you know, I wanted to get back to politics here a little bit. The New Hampshire primary is now looming large, and I think the thing that's not getting enough attention that people aren't recognizing or figuring out is the effect of the Bernie bros, as they're called in a very derogatory manner. I don't know, there's just as many Bernie women as there are bros. I don't know exactly what that's all about. I think that's a bit of a smear by corporatist mainstream DNC type Democrats. But you know, I've been thinking about those folks, the Bernie or bust folks, because as I've said all along, you can do the math on this election on the back of a matchbook cover. And it's funny because when I talk to Democrats that are supporting those other candidates other than Bernie, they just don't seem to get it, or they disagree, or they kind of get this distant look in their face. I think it may have to do with the fact that Donald Trump has broken their brain and they can't think of anything else but defeating Trump. But the way that I put it to them is that contingent, those Bernie or bust folks, are strong enough, that they're large enough, that if Bernie is not the nominee, the Democratic nominee, no matter who it is going to lose. I mean, is that all right with you? Would you rather have Donald Trump? You got to remember now, these are folks that are saying he's the biggest existential threat the world has ever seen, that he's treasonous. They wanted to impeach him. My main bitch with the man really isn't any of those things. My main bitch is that he's sitting around fiddling like Nero while the world burns. Climate crisis is going to get us all if we don't get it first, and he's doing nothing. Not only that, he's doing things that are counterproductive to solving the climate crisis. And here we sit with a nominee coming out of the state of Iowa, or the people, not a nominee, but the people want to say that Pete Buttigieg is the winner of the Iowa caucuses. My God almighty, let me underline this for you. Let me put this in italics. I have as good a chance as being elected as a write-in candidate in 2020 as Pete Buttigieg does in the general election. Why? Because of the electoral college map. I've shown this many times on the podcast. I mean, I don't mean to sound exasperated, folks, but I mean, really. Let's take a look at this. Let's put it back up again and have a look at the electoral college map. Now, look at all of those Western Bible-thumping states. Do you think any of those red states are going to flip blue and nominate, elect Pete Buttigieg in a general election? Really? Okay, let's move over a little bit. Look east, young man. And look at those Rust Belt states. Those guys that have been out of those factories, that have been out of work, those barroom brawlers up there in Michigan and Wisconsin, Ohio and Pennsylvania. Do you see any of those guys flipping blue, coming out of the woodwork, becoming motivated to support Pete Buttigieg? I mean, here's my take on it. You may as well walk down to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue if you're going to support the candidacies of Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, or Elizabeth Warren. You might as well get an Uber and go down to the White House and hand the keys to Donald Trump for another 4 years. I cannot see it happening. But what I can see is Bernie Sanders, with the support of the mainline centrist moderate DNC Democratic machine, winning the nomination and winning the general election against Donald Trump, because his populism is appealing to those western red states that you see on the map. And his populism and his socialism is popular with the union workers, those guys that set out the 2016 election in those Rust Belt states, those people that saw good jobs leave in the 1980s, 1990s. They've never come back, and they're never going to vote for a mainline Democrat again. They're not voting for Joe Biden, who's ass deep in the Obama administration and connected to Hillary Clinton. Pete Buttigieg is tied into the deep state. Remember, Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State. They're not voting for that. There ain't no way.
Government fails, the world's off its rails. Leaders are whacked, democracy is under attack. It's just our luck. We elected this dumb fuck, doesn't give a shit about us, but throw his mother under the bus. Time to get smart, folks, time to get real. Let's cut through the crowd, tell us how you feel. Let's pull back the curtain and open the door. Get some stuff that's not bought and paid for. Let's herd border to border, coast to coast. Let's cue the talent, let's meet the host. Podcast by George.